Here comes Bernie. Now, hold on. New polls are in. Okay, we got NBC News, Wall Street Journal, and a Marist poll that just came out. Now, before we get to Iowa, let's do New Hampshire first. Now, Bernie Sanders has been in the lead in New Hampshire for a long time. Does he maintain his lead? The answer is yes. We've got 50% going to Bernie Sanders, 46% to Hillary Clinton among likely voters. Now, Hillary Clinton's actually closing in on a little bit, though. Bernie Sanders had a larger lead, about a 9-point lead before. So here comes Hillary Clinton in New Hampshire, but Bernie Sanders still with the lead. Now, you go to Iowa, it's the exact opposite story. Here comes Bernie Sanders. So new poll out, same one, Wall Street Journal, NBC News, etc. Hillary Clinton at 48%, Bernie Sanders at 45%. I can do that math for you. That's only a 3% difference. So let me give you context on that. In October, which is not that long ago, Clinton's lead here in Iowa was 11 points, 47 to 36. Down from 11 to 3 as we close in on the voting. Here comes Bernie Sanders. Okay, so now she has been put on burn notice, obviously, Hillary Clinton has. But don't worry, Hillary Clinton supporters, she has that ace up her sleeve to play, right? And that is Bernie Sanders is not electable. No, you've got to go with a tried and true Democrat, an establishment Democrat, because Bernie Sanders could lose to Donald Trump or Ted Cruz. Oh my God, you don't want to do that. You have to go with the person that is more electable. Well, let's go to the polling to find out who's more electable, because you know what they did? They didn't just poll Republicans and Democrats. They said, okay, we're going to poll everybody and ask you who you would vote for if it was this Democrat versus this Republican. So, for example, Clinton leads Trump by 8 points among registered voters. Oh, okay. See, she is electable. But Sanders is ahead of him by 13 points. Much more than Hillary Clinton. I think Hillary Clinton just responded with, very badly burned. Well, I'm not anywhere near done. Hold on. Cruz tops Clinton. Ted Cruz is beating Clinton by 4 points, but Sanders beats him by 5. So right now, you want to talk about electable. According to this polling, Hillary Clinton would lose to Ted Cruz, but Bernie Sanders wouldn't. He'd beat him. He'd beat him by 5 points. Okay, now that's according to, now fair is fair. That's one state now. You're looking at Iowa for that state. Now let's look at New Hampshire, okay? But wait a minute, New Hampshire, isn't Bernie Sanders doing better? Well, let's find out. Clinton is ahead of Trump by just 1 point in New Hampshire. But Sanders tops him by 19 points. Jeez, Lord mercy. Okay. Now, how's that for more electable? Now, I know. Look, Bernie Sanders is from Vermont. New Hampshire is close to Vermont. Favorite son, kind of. But the fact that Hillary Clinton is losing in New Hampshire, or I'm sorry, very close in New Hampshire, I am not comfortable with a 1-point lead, right? That's basically a statistical tie. That should be disconcerting, especially when you have a candidate who could whoop him by 19 points in an important state. New Hampshire and Iowa are both important states in terms of the general election, okay? Now, when we go to more New Hampshire polling here, Cruz beats Clinton by 4 points in New Hampshire as well. Wow, Cruz is beating her in both states. But Sanders leads Cruz by another 19 points. Woo! Wow, isn't that amazing? Because remember, when they go to do Cruz versus Sanders or Clinton, they're not just asking Democrats. They're asking everybody. And those people that they ask, they go, I kind of like Ted Cruz better than I like Hillary Clinton. But boy, I like Bernie Sanders much better than I like Ted Cruz. Isn't that interesting? Pundits, what happened? I thought Hillary Clinton was more electable. That's what I was told. All of a sudden, I might also be hearing from the pundits. Very badly burned. I think you might be, dog. I think you might be. So what is the reason for this? NBC News explains. The primary reason why Sanders tests better in these general election matchups is due to his stronger performance with independent voters, to which I'd like to say, told you. I told you. Listen, Bernie Sanders is Donald Trump's kryptonite, especially, apparently equally as much of a kryptonite for Ted Cruz or any of the other Republicans. Why? Because when you go to a general election and your candidate is Hillary Clinton, Trump can turn around and go, you see, I don't take any money. I'm not beholden to the donors. Hillary Clinton, she's taking all the money from the banks and the big donors. Now, is Trump going to do them bigger favors? Likely. The Republican Party is in favor of tax cuts and deregulations, which helps the bankers and the powerful, etc. But at least Trump gets to, in a big way, pretend that he's on the side of the little guy and Hillary Clinton's working for the establishment, because he's got good evidence of that, right? Well, when he tries that crap against Bernie Sanders, oh, yeah, you work for the big, what? You told everybody you'd break them up? Oh, that's hard. Okay, how do I make that argument that Bernie Sanders is for the powerful? Well, you can't. How do I make the argument that Bernie Sanders is for big banks and big donors? You can't. So all of a sudden, that's Donald Trump's kryptonite. Because yes, half of Donald Trump's appeal is the old school racism and, Obama's a birther and Ted Cruz comes from Cuba and where I'm going to keep out the Mexicans and the Muslims. I get all that. But the other half that the pundits don't talk about nearly enough is the people are sick of the donors controlling politics, both on the Democratic side and the Republican side. So they're saying, well, we know at least Trump's not controlled. So clearly he's out of control. There's no argument about that. And nobody's pulling the puppet strings except his own crazy mind. So if you eliminate that part of his support, he's screwed. And the way you eliminate that is by having Bernie Sanders as the candidate instead of Hillary Clinton. Before it was just my theory. Now the numbers are in. What now? What now? Speaking of my theories, hold on, I'm not anywhere near done. So let's go to Salon now. Sean Illing explains, and he's honest about this. He says, most pundits, myself included, have found it difficult to see a clear path to the nomination for Sanders. Clinton has the support of the Democratic establishment and an appreciable organizational advantage over Sanders, and that counts for a lot in our system. Now, I have been saying all along, no, it doesn't. And I'll tell you why. Because these guys, these pundits, are stuck in the 1960s and 70s. What if there's a brokered convention? There's no brokered conventions. That hasn't happened in decades and decades and decades. All politics is local. Yeah, the guy who said that said it in the 1970s when no one had the internet. All politics is not local anymore. Yeah, well, so what does the Courier say? It was local when you picked up the local paper, and that's how you got most of your news. You're living in the past. So this whole idea of like, well, most of the establishment has endorsed Hillary Clinton. You knuckleheads. That's not a positive in the mind of voters. That's usually a negative. Oh, the establishment has backed Hillary Clinton. Okay, note to self, don't vote for Hillary Clinton. Okay, wakey, 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 wakey. It's a whole new world, okay? So at least Sean, to his credit, recognizes that now, belatedly. He explains about Bernie Sanders. He's shattered records for individual contributions, and he's energized the restless base with an authentic progressive message. Okay, now all those individual donations when they went to Barack Obama, everyone was like, oh my God, he broke records, he's fantastic. And the banks really like him too. Okay, now when Bernie Sanders does it, no, he's going to lose, he's going to lose. He has to lose. She has all the endorsements and stuff. No, look at that key end of the sentence. With an authentic progressive voice. Bernie Sanders ain't faking it. He didn't fake it for 40 years. Okay, authentic is the key there. And that's a hard argument for politicians to make. And you're seeing it play out on both sides. Donald Trump is authentically crazy, right? He's not, like, nobody's pulling his strings. And the Republican base goes, me like that. That man, honestly, bad guy. I like him, right? The other guys that come on here, Marco Rubio. Everybody's always telling me Marco Rubio is going to win. And he was like, hello, these are my talking points. I will deliver them. And the voters like, nah, with your talking points. So in the case of Bernie Sanders, he's authentic and he's actually progressive. And now that we have the internet, we have other ways of getting informed. We know that. You can't keep it hidden anymore by controlling the mainstream media. Okay, so Illing goes on to explain, Clinton can absorb a loss in New Hampshire and still coast to the nomination. But an early defeat in Iowa could change the entire narrative. Once again, something I've been saying for months. Momentum is crucial in a campaign and it can shift in a hurry. Early primary states can alter the trajectory of a race, particularly if it's an insurgent candidate like Sanders, who's running against the Democratic establishment as much as he is Clinton. But if Sanders manages to sweep Iowa and New Hampshire, which is now a distinct possibility, the race will be wide open. I gotta ask you, if you've been watching the Young Turks, have I not been saying that same exact thing for now? Not Johnny come lately, not, oh my God, look at the poll numbers recently. I said that from day one. I argued with Ben over it. I said, okay, yeah, Hillary Clinton has big national numbers. She has a big name recognition. We all know the name Clinton. Anybody who's followed politics knows your name recognition don't mean anything once the elections start. They do if you're running in a quiet race. It's a Senate race in Montana. Nobody knows anything, right? This is a presidential race. You're going to have debates. You're going to have free media. People are going to tune in and go, wait, who should I vote for? Oh, who's the Sanders guy? Oh, wow, he has that record for 40 years. See, that's what happens in a presidential race. So if you win in Iowa and you win in New Hampshire, you got a whole new ball game. Iowa and New Hampshire affect every other election from there. Well, she's still leading in South Carolina. Yeah, I'll see her ass. If she's not winning in Iowa and New Hampshire, then we'll see what the polls look like in South Carolina and Nevada. The people who are the pundits who are so smug. Look, I'm not saying Bernie Sanders is definitely going to win. I've never said that, right? But the guys who thought he had no chance, if he does in fact win in those two states, I can't wait to play this on a loop.
Very badly burned.
Feel the burn. That burn is coming, and you might be very badly burned.